Okay, you saw me get up. It's still November 3rd, okay? I'm just doing the first part of November 4th's video in advance because you never see me go to bed at night, okay? So you'll notice it looks a lot like the way I woke up, except in reverse. Got my sleeping bag laid out here. Got my headphones ready to go. I'm going to use my Galaxy 9 Plus. How do I get my finger to be on the screen right now? Well, anyway, I'm going to use this particular phone that I'm filming this with as my little entertainment. You know, that what I do before I go to sleep at night is maybe I'll watch some videos. I'll listen to some recordings. I listen to Bible Gateway. I listen to verses on the Bible and stuff like that. But anyway, you know, I'm just getting ready for bed, so this is what it's like. It's raining out. Hear that? Hear that beautiful rain on the roof? Don't you love that? I mean, that's just comforting to me. I don't know. Anyway, good night. I'll see you in the morning. Well, this is tomorrow's video already, so I don't know. I've just got to put it together this way, I guess, you guys. Good night. Okay, it's Sunday morning. I have to get up, and I just don't want to. Been lazy this morning. Sitting here in the bed, hearing cars go by. I don't even know if it's what the weather's like out there. I haven't even looked out yet. Okay, well, here we go, Sunday. Oh, look at that. The sun is out. How about that? Yeah, looks like a sunny Sunday. I'll get up and go down to Fort Worden and hang out a little bit. Get some coffee. Once again, no condensation in my truck at all. It's a little bit warm right here. When I do get condensation, it's usually just right here and here. There's no condensation anywhere else, and the walls never get any condensation. So that's the condensation report for today. I think it's time I buy some beans. Dante's Tornado, Nicaragua. I think it's Ethiopia. I'm gonna get this. So I got some Ethiopia, and I got some in the cup too. I have this for my onboard coffee this time, dark roast. Park here at Fort Worden today. I'm going to do a little bit of video editing for today's video. You know, I'm going to get that one up a little earlier today, I hope, because it's Sunday, so this evening I'll be making my way back up to my place. What I'm doing here, it's really windy here today, so here's what I do a lot of times. I have the back door just cracked open about, a couple feet for now. And that keeps, and I got the truck positioned so the wind is going sideways. It's not coming in the back. I don't want to turn it the other way, away from the wind, because then I got the bright sun coming directly in, and I want a little bit of, I want that harsh light coming in. It is nice that it's a sunny day, though. I'm getting lots of solar. So I just sit here and I have my buddy heater going. See, this is how I use my heater. I'm just warming my hands a little bit. I'm not trying to heat up the whole van. That's not the way I do things. In fact, that opens up a discussion, I guess, about insulation. You know, I've discussed this with other people a lot. And I'll tell you what my philosophy is about it again. First of all, I don't follow the paradigm that I had when I was living in a fixed brick and mortar place. You know, when you live in a house or something, it seems like American culture, we're in this mindset that you have to heat that entire volume of air inside your house up to a certain temperature to keep it livable. And so people have these big central heating systems. They've become popular throughout our country. And we heat the entire 2,000 square foot, 2,300 or bigger house. My house was 2,000 it's 2,300 square feet the floor area, but the volume was huge. It went up to 16 feet at one place in the vaulted ceiling. So heating a house like that costs a lot of energy, and that's why, at least in this country, insulating a house became popular, because you want to hold all that energy in. You want to make it as efficient as possible. You want that heat to not transfer through the walls as quick. And you want to, in the big picture, you save money on your heating bill. All right. Now, my philosophy is this: to live comfortably in the Pacific Northwest, there's two main things I need with regard to shelter. I need to be dry, and I need to be out of the wind. And right now it's very windy, and I'm glad I can sit in here and not have the wind in my face. And it's much better than being in a tent, because tents get all, you know, they're kind of annoying to be in when it's high winds. And then rain as well. If you're dry and you're out of the wind, you've got a pretty good shelter here in the Pacific Northwest. Now, as far as heat goes, my philosophy is this: it's not necessary to heat the entire volume of air inside this van. It's just not necessary. If I did that, it would take a lot more energy, and if I was in that mindset, then yes, I would probably want to insulate the walls to reduce the heat transfer through the walls. But I don't care about heating the whole interior of the van. I keep warm at night with blankets and insulation around my body. And during the day like this, it's a little chilly, but I can have my buddy heater going sometimes, and I'll warm my hands up if I need it. There's other cultures in the world that don't think about, they don't follow the paradigm of heating their entire house. There's some cultures in the world that do not follow that paradigm where they have to heat their entire house. Well, first of all, they usually live in smaller houses to begin with. Take the Japanese culture, for instance. Start reading up on them. Most of the culture does not have central heating in their houses, yet Japan gets really cold. So how do they keep warm in the winter? Well, they have an interesting way of dealing with it. In fact, I'm going to start practicing that in my van, I think. There's an interesting thing that I like about what they do. They have this thing called Kotatsu. I'll have to look up the word. If there's a Japanese person, please help me say that right. Kotatsu. What that is they have small little heaters. Traditionally, it was a little charcoal heater. Nowadays, they use a small little electric heater. And they have a frame that they drape a blanket over. They put the heater inside that frame, and then they put a table on top of it. So they're sitting there with a blanket draped around them, their feet in where the heater is, and
half of their body is under the blanket and the other half is out. So they're keeping their body warm with very little heat and very little energy, and they do fine. And it's kind of a tradition to do that over there. I guess. I've been reading about it. I haven't experienced it myself, but it sounds like a pretty interesting thing. But it seems like the perfect kind of a thing to do in this living situation, which I've been essentially doing that. I use a small heat source, and I get around that heat source when I need to be warm. One thing I hear people say a lot, you'll hear people say this, that heat rises. You ever had that paradigm thrown at? I mean, people have this assumption that heat always rises. That's false. Heat does not rise, folks. No, I think the reason people say that is because when you heat up air expands and gets lighter. So the warmer air will float above the cooler air for a while until it cools down. Then it'll just drop back down again. And that's called a convection current. And that's what happens inside my van. For instance, when I turn on my buddy heater, it's down on the floor. It's warm right next to the heater, but right up the ceiling, it's still cold. The heat is not rising. The warm air does not even make its way to the ceiling before it cools down again. So that's one of the reasons I don't have condensation in my van, and it's another reason why I don't want to insulate, because it wouldn't buy me anything. I mean, it's already going to cool off. You know, sure, if I was running my heater constantly, and I wanted to heat up this volume of air, and this is 7 by 10 by 6 or so, so that's what, 420 some cubic feet of air. Why do I need to heat 420 cubic feet of air when all I need to stay warm is about 4 or 5 cubic feet of air right around my body? See, that's why people can stay warm with a candle and a little what do you call it? You know, they make these little candle heaters where you put a candle underneath a flower pot and you warm up. Now, that's been debunked by really smart people on the internet. They go, oh, you know, you guys don't know what you're doing. Here, I can prove it mathematically. There's not enough energy in a candle to heat up the whole... Well, that's true. You can't heat up 420 cubic feet of air with a candle. No way. But do you need to? Why can't you just stay warm in 1 or 2 cubic feet of air close to your body? I do that all the time anyway with clothing. And if I add a little extra heat, I'm fine. And so, anyway, that's my philosophy. It sounds kind of like a rant, I guess, but I'm just holding, you know, now, again, I'm going to learn as I go. I'm just trying to find the best way to live, and I'm trying to figure out how to require less rather than acquire more. And I think one way to require less is by adapting to a situation a little better, rather than thinking that I have to replicate the conditions that I had in a house in a van. I don't need to do that. I can adapt and live a little simpler. But we'll see how the winter progresses here. If I get too much condensation dripping down from the roof, and that's possible. I mean, if the heat differential gets down to the point where, you know, my body heat is causing condensation on the roof, and it gets so bad that, I mean, on the ceiling, and it gets so bad that it's dripping down and soaking things up, well, then I'm going to have to take some action, and I'll correct that. I have a plan on how to do it. You know, a simple fix for that is I'll take some strips of Tyvek and just tape them to the ribs so that the condensation won't drip down on me. It'll go through the Tyvek, condense inside the space up there, but it won't drip back down. And somebody might ask, well, it's gonna go to the sides, you know, it's gonna drip down the sides, probably, and I will capture it on the sides with some sort of little trough and just like a little gutter or something. I think I can do that. I think it'll work fine, and that's not going to be a problem I'm going to have most of the year. There'll be a few, maybe a month or so of weather where it might do that sort of thing. But I think I'll be fine. I'm making some nettle tea. I've been wanting to try this, so I'm going to heat up some water, throw it in the, whatever you call that thing, French press, and I'm going to enjoy some nettle tea while I'm sitting here with my beautiful view out the back.